Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to your quantum reading with me, Jocelyn, the Quantum Queen. So, Scorps, okay, I have a super specific message for you guys. So, let me dive into my intro and feel free to fast forward if you are absolutely sick of hearing this. This is for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and as always, welcome to my cross watchers. And cross watcher, ooh, I'm going to take that. Crosswatcher, you could be dealing with a Scorpio and the message could be for you, so feel free to take it however it resonates to you and your situation. Keep in mind that these are general readings, so if it doesn't resonate with you, it's probably not your message. That was holy freaking crap perfect. Yeah, okay. Are you ready for this? If you guys would like to book a one-on-one reading with me, you can find my information down below in the description box. Also, if you guys would like to make a good karma donation, that information is also located down below. And just wanted to say thank you to those who have made donations, and thank you for liking and subscribing. I appreciate it so much, and make sure when you hit the subscribe button that you also tap the bell off to the side so you get notifications when I go live and when I post these videos. So, Scorpio. Okay, this is what I was getting is I was kind of like, when I was tapping into your guys' energy, I was getting kind of like this nostalgia type of feeling, especially with this freaking Mercury retrograde, because retrogrades bring things back, right? It brings up old memories, it brings up unfinished business, all that delightful stuff, which is why I wanted to pull all of this, okay? All of these. It was perfect to go along with it. So we've got the snake, right? Here's something circling back around, but it's not kind of like the sea serpent. I'm not seeing it's like a biting your tail or anything like that. What I'm getting, Scorpio, is that I think there's someone that you're kind of nostalgic about. You're thinking about them. Like all of a sudden the thoughts of them came up. Or maybe even for some of you, there were things that were coming up in your actual reality that were just like really crazy that were reminding you of this person. And you were like, what in the world? Because what I'm getting in your mind, Scorpio, you had made peace with it, that maybe the timing was off and you had closed out a relationship or someone in your life where you were like, it's done. Like, you had closed out a chapter, you had decided to move on, that there was like no reviving it. There was just no real like possible way to resolve things between the two of you, was pretty much what I was getting. But it's kind of like occasionally the thoughts will still come up of them, and you're, like maybe sometimes you're like, oh, I wonder what they're doing, but you've made such a completion in your mind and your psyche and your whole vibrational being that you're like, this has to be done, like there's no reviving it, is what I'm saying. Now, what I think, and this is why I was wanting to pull out all of these energies, because what happened is I think you were very innocent when it came to the connection or with this person. And I do want to say, just with these all of these energies that were coming in, that it was a lot of shadow, right? It could have been a fire sign. Here we've got Aries, Leo, Sag. Could be an Earth, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, or an air. I think the only one we don't have in here is water. Okay, so which I find is really interesting, because look how many freaking cards I pulled out and not one of them are water. So what I want to say is that maybe you, like I was saying, Scorpio, like you've resolved a lot of your emotions toward this person. Like you actually are coming across very grounded to me about this chapter that you closed out, or this connection, or this relationship, or even if it's a job for you guys, if that applies. But it's like you liberated yourself. I think at the beginning of the connection, you started out very innocent, very naive, maybe caught up in the whole illusion of the dynamic in the relationship where it was all beautiful and amazing at the beginning, and then things almost spiraled out of control in a crazy way. Like it turned into this, a lot of heat, maybe some fighting, if this even applies, just because of the hyena and the panther. That always comes across to me as like Jekyll Hyde. Okay, just because of the moon, there's shadow and there's light, and which we all have. We all have a shadow side, we all have a light side. But this whole process was actually in your benefit, Scorpio, to help you alchemize from this energy where you were just kind of like really innocent in the connection, really just like, oh, like honestly, the thing I keep hearing, even though this isn't a deer, it's almost like doe eyes. Like you were just kind of like, oh, this is beautiful, this is amazing, and underneath it was like, yikes, like really intense, scary, maybe a lot of heat between that ended up happening. Because I think what happened, there was a little bit of an entanglement for you, Scorpio, where it brought out even a little bit of this in you, like where you were kind of like this innocent, like, oh, I'm just gonna have fun in this connection, it's amazing, it's like a honeymoon, and it's like everything I've always been looking for. The passion is there, like the connection was there, everything was there. But what I'm hearing, what's interesting, going back to the fact that there's no water elements here, I think there was a lack of emotional expression. There was a lot of passion, there was a lot, and maybe there was an actual commitment, okay? Like maybe you guys actually made a commitment to each other because of the snake and the lamb. So maybe you guys were spending a lot of time together, or you actually became committed, like boyfriend and girlfriend, or got married, whatever this is. But with the communication, because here's our communication here, the nightingale and the hummingbird, air energy, right? So it could be also Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. I'm just throwing those out there, okay? So don't get too caught up in the signs, because it's like pretty much everything is out here but a water sign. But it's still, you're a water sign, Scorpio, so obviously that doesn't always apply. But what I want to say is part of the reason why it had such a maybe a blow up, or there were these moments that came up with the panther and the hyena, just this intensity, is because, and that's where the communication was coming in. It was coming in more from passion and from your chemicals related to that, but not so much like tenderness and emotional connection is what I'm hearing, okay? So like I was saying before, Scorpio, I think that you still think about them occasionally. Like maybe you just wonder, oh, what are they up to? Maybe occasionally you, just with these two energies, I think maybe you check up on their social media, like kind of look and see what they're up to. And maybe there are even times that you're tempted to reach out to them, because you're like, it's always like you come to the conclusion in your mind, like, oh, what happened to the connection? You know, there's this person that we have these deep connections with, or these, you know, like this love sometimes when we actually express love, and you wonder about them. And so maybe there's a little bit of this desire or temptation to reach out to the person, but then it's like, boom, like I think whenever you come into your mind, like everything, you remember the reality of it. It's not like I think you went through the dynamic enough times and saw this energy enough times that you realized that it was never actually really going to change. Like it's like all of a sudden your mind and your psyche lined up with your vibration. You attained that wisdom when it came to this person. So it's like every time you even think about calling out to them or connecting with them, it's like boom, the hummingbird, opposite direction. And it's like maybe even your thoughts, you're like, nope, not going there again, and you're able to do that, which is huge. Like I think that you've made a lot of progress when it comes to staying realistic about the people in your life. You know what I'm saying? That you stay really realistic about, okay, this is what the connection was. You don't get caught up by the illusion of it, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let me sorry, this takes me a bit to reach out here. Okay. So, ultimately, Scorpio, what I want to say is the reason why you entangled with this person is because I feel like, there was almost like this little bit of a need to bring out the shadow in you. Okay, that's the entanglement as a whole. You came to some type of realization about your own shadow self. Maybe you have even always perceived yourself to be like really innocent and get taken advantage of and that type of thing, which obviously, and you probably actually do. But underneath the surface, I think that you're starting to see your strength, because this person you might have entangled with that shadow side of them, and it maybe brought this out in you too. Like maybe a side where you just had to put the fangs out. Like you were like, dude, like, if you keep pushing me or keep taking advantage of me and my innocence, then I'm going to come back with this fire. And that's where you're attaining the wisdom, where that already exists within you, Scorpio, or wouldn't have come to the surface in the first place. It's not like, this is an empath to me. Full blown, all of this is empath to me. And so there's a lot of like misconceptions about empaths, where people think that, oh, an empath picks up everyone's energy, but you wouldn't be picking up on it if it didn't already exist within you. I'm just gonna say that straight up. That's the thing that an empath has to learn in this lifetime, is because an empath was more than likely raised by a narcissist, and that could be you, Scorpio. You already have all of these emotions active within the cells of your body. So that's how you're actually holographically creating these situations. This could be a mirroring and kind of a repeat from even a childhood relationship, a relationship with a parent. So that's why it's circling back around into your existence to teach you this lesson. But you still think about them, Scorpio. Like that's the whole like message that I was getting in the first place, is there's someone that you're still kind of thinking about and nostalgic about and wondering maybe where they're at on their path. Because the thing I was picking up too is you are wondering if they actually change, if they're actually like growing, because you evolved, you changed, you got out of the relationship, and maybe you're making a lot of like spiritually aware decisions in your life to like progress, to evolve, to do better, to really reach and attain healthier relationships in your life, Scorpio. But you're kind of wondering about them. Like, you're like, do people actually change, is what I think you're wondering. Because of the nostalgia that I was kind of picking up on, I think, Scorpio, that you're maybe for a while you were hoping that they would change, or that you could help or heal them, because that's a typical empath too. And maybe you were hoping that that would happen, and maybe it was even vice versa. Maybe they were trying to help you, and that was the beginning and the foundation of the relationship. But it turned too codependent. Both of you were halves. Both of you had unhealed like things within both of you. And that's how it turned into a codependent relationship. It's like both of you were relying on each other for stability, for support, for happiness. And that's not a firm foundation to go off of in a relationship. It will end up in this cycle. You'll bite your tail. You'll end up just, it's a karmic cycle, and it's very frustrating. But you still wonder about them, Scorpio. So let me dive into that. That's what I wanted to get at the most. And this is what I was getting in the pre-shuffle too, because there it was reaffirming, like, here's the close of the chapter between the two of you. That was just pretty much confirming it, blocking each other. I think one of you was kind of like indecisive, wishy-washy, because it's a typical dynamic. That's what they always turn into, is that wishy-washy back and forth energy. It's like lack of emotional communication. So one of you was probably holding back on like expressing emotions, and that was also a part of the cause of the breakdown, because one person was probably expressing more. And I want to say it was like, if you, Scorpio, you're resonating more with the Lamb, where you were maybe more of the empath, you might have been expressing yourself a lot, giving a lot of energy in that way. Because maybe you thought, yeah, if I open up, then they'll open up. And yeah, that's not the reality at all. It's very unfortunate, but, you know, it's a realization all of us good old empaths have to come to eventually along this journey in this path is stay really aware at the beginning. And actually, my mom says this, and I love that she said it's the most perfect and accurate statement. When you go into relationships, you have your eyes wide open, and then down the line in the relationship, you have your eyes like a little bit more shut, because you have to look for all the red flags in the beginning, but down the road you have to kind of let some things go if you really want to make a connection last and work, right? So let me see what we can get with this. At the same time, though, there's a part of me that doesn't agree with that, because it's like, if you're really not happy, then yeah, maybe it's just legit time to move on from a person. So I apply that very loosely. Okay, yeah, so here's what I was fascinated by. So Scorpio, I think that you have done a lot of healing from this relationship, and sure as hell you went through a dark night of the soul, and I think that this is why this relationship was a part of your dark night of the soul. It was a karmic kind of cleansing and purging that you had to go through from just some old crap that your parents passed down to you, and they didn't know what they were doing, and we're all just trying to figure it out, and they're blaming us millennials why we're all screwed up. And I'm like, well, you guys didn't do the best of job like bringing us, why do you think we are the way that we are? So but here, yeah, this is perfect. So here was the forward movement. This could have been an actual distance between the two of you, but yes, like maybe that's even what you needed to do for yourself, Scorpio. You needed to switch like living situations, environments, or maybe even some of you actually went traveling to try to heal yourself. And that's actually the other thing too that I'm seeing was probably a benefit for those of you if you're trying to look to heal. Look, there's the World card again. So there it is, just clarifying that everything came to a close. So there was a separation, a disconnection that happened because there was this need for healing that needed to happen. And so it's like the chapter closed out, and then finally you were able to get some balance again in your life, and where it's like all of a sudden finally this type of energy dropped away, the no-win situation, the impasse between the two of you, the butting of heads, where it was just like, we cannot make this work, we cannot make this happen. Finally, everything came to a close with that energy. Now, here's what's interesting, because with this Mercury retrograde, I want to say that it's coming back, because for some of you, there's a couple of things that's going to pop out here, because everyone's going to resonate differently with this. Like I was saying, the Nightingale, there might be a little bit of a temptation to reach out to this person and to like connect with them or whatever. Now, and there's two ways that this is going to play out, right? Either you've learned your lesson and you're closing a chapter or a cycle, right? With the World card, the Snake card, you're closing up a cycle in your life, and you're deciding to move forward and choose your healing and to choose to stay balanced. Like you're choosing to keep this type of energy out of your life. People where you just feel really defeated by the connection more than anything. Wow, that was crazy. Okay, this is what I'm gonna say, Scorpio. There's two type of things that I'm picking up here, because here it was where you cut this person out of your life, right? There's the closing of a chapter. But what was I just saying about the Mercury retrograde? This is communication coming in with a lover, with a past connection. It doesn't have to be romantic, but there's someone that you're tempted to reach out to. And I think that's why it's kind of coming up in your psyche a bit, Scorpio, because it's a little bit unresolved and unfinished in your mind. There's this kind of energy. That's why I was feeling the nostalgia so strongly for at least one of you, is that there's just this connection that you still wonder about, you still think about, you wonder what they're doing, you've been wondering if they've been healing too. Now, this is what is fascinating. The last thing I'm going to pull out before I jump into the extended, there's the communication that's going to happen, okay? For some of you, you might not Okay, I'm throwing that out there, but for some of you, you might actually reach out to this person, okay, because you're genuinely wondering if they've healed. Now, I'm saying that you've been wondering that too because of entanglement, because of the quantum physics, and just that whole, whatever you want to call it, the magic at the core of us. When you entangle with someone, you always stay connected with them and you always affect each other's behavior. So isn't it interesting, if Scorpio, you've done a lot of work and a lot of healing in yourself, maybe you've just made a lot of progress in your life from this connection, from all the wisdom that you've attained from this person. And so now it's making you even wonder, like, if we were to reach out and try this again, would it be different from where we've grown to? Because if you've healed, then because of the entanglement, they could be healing, right? Like, that's the big question. Has this person healed and evolved at the same rate you have? Especially if you're wondering, you know, if they're coming out more narcissistic with that panther and that hyena, boom, narcissist, yeah. And maybe you're even questioning, like, can a narcissist ever heal? Does a narcissist ever, like, psychologically heal from their own trauma to be able to move past that kind of energy vampire-ishness in them? So, Scorpio, that's where I'm going to leave things. I'm sorry to leave it at like a cliffhanger, but I'm going to dive into this in the extended because I feel like this is going to get much more in depth and much more juicy. So if you guys want to join me over there, you can definitely do that. Just go down below in the description box, click on the PayPal link, send over $10, and please, please remember to put in the comments or the description Scorpio, the title of the video, the published date, and your email address where you would like me to send the link over to. So Scorpio, if this is kind of where we leave things, I am sending you guys so much love, wishing you all the very best, and I will see you in your next reading. Take care.